Hi, Virginia Beach. I hope everyone can hear me. I have my little fan on because it's a little warm in here. Um, this video is actually, I'm recording it for the Courthouse Kidnapping YouTube channel. So if you're watching it on Facebook, I'll have the link to that channel in the comments. Likewise, if you're watching this on YouTube and you have a Facebook, go over there and follow me. Whole bunch. I do a lot more on Facebook than I do really anywhere else so far. Thus far, at least. I want to talk specifically in this video, and I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible because you guys know I'm a wordy woman. I can be very long-winded. I've got a lot to say. I'm gonna try to keep it as short as possible. I don't like making these videos. I just wish all of this could end. I wish all of this stuff with my kids, and it should never have been allowed to happen to begin with, but I don't like this. It's not easy, really. It doesn't get easier to talk about this because it's still happening. It hasn't ended yet. Nobody has been able to even begin healing, really, because we're all still in it. And Mona is going to be 14. In September. My concern right now, of course, I have many, many concerns as an estranged parent from my babies. But my concern right now is I don't need or want to see or hear anyone asking her, my child, for an explanation for what happened to her. She is the victim here. And this video specifically, we're going to talk about grooming. We're going to talk about the ways in which two specific incidents that I'm going to say, and there are plenty, but like I said, we would be here all day. Two specific incidents that nothing was even said to her, but it's manipulation. It's how they got inside of her head. And this was 3 years ago. It's been 3 years. Lord only knows what else has been implanted in her brain. When I was married to her daddy, his mother, Lisa, and she's on this channel too. She's the one that assaulted me at home. Go check out an assault at home body cam. There's 2 parts to that. She would talk about, I remember her telling her daughter, not the older one, the younger one, about false memories. And this woman is diabolical. She knows exactly what she's doing. I wonder now how many false memories after 3 years of my babies being sold. Janet Naderman, Leilani Adams, Teresa Berry. Tuesday, definitely not a Dr. Smith. I wonder how many false memories have been implanted in my child's head. Mona was 10 years old when I was ripped from her, and she was ripped from me without warning and without cause. And I'm going to tell you the last conversation that I had with Mona before Jennifer and Chris just completely cut off contact without a judge's permission. They did that before we ever got to court. They just cut off all contact. I had no idea that would ever happen, or I would have found somewhere else to put my kids when I was trying to get my stuff back together after the 10-year annulment. And there's a video on that too. The last conversation I had with my daughter, my 10-year-old little girl, who didn't even like spending a night away from me, really. I mean, when Deacon was born, I had to go back to work 10 days after he was born. I still had stitches, and I was bartending because rent was due and we needed money. It just was what it was. With Mona, it was different. I didn't have to go back to work. And when I did go back to work, it wasn't at the bar. It had to be from home because of my disabilities that I was diagnosed with right after she came. The fibro, and then narcolepsy was a few years later. So her and I were, and you know what? I haven't been able to hug my baby in 3 years, but we are still disconnected. I know it. I could feel it. Even though I didn't get to talk to her or hear from her. I know my child. I know my baby's heart. She was with me every day. Josh dipped for 2 years and hardly looked back. He didn't come over to visit. He would go months without calling, seeing her. Before he got full custody, he hadn't spent more than 24 hours with our child. She had been with me. But then we have, you know, the Leilanis and the Janas of the world, these attorneys just selling these kids through perjury. I mean, you should see, they should have been fiction writers for a Lifetime channel, I think, those broads. Anyways, they will tell you, I'm sure my children will tell you, as well as the adults around them, that they have never said one bad thing about me in front of them. First of all, I don't believe it because I've heard otherwise. But even if they hadn't, let's talk about human communication. Let's talk about more specifically about nonverbal human communication. You guys, human communication is not quite as straightforward as a lot of people believe. There was, based on 2 studies, linguist, body psychologist, doctor back in the day, actually came to the conclusion that about 93% of all of our communication, human to human, is nonverbal communication. It's through our inflection, our tone, our facial expressions, our body language, everything. Our brain is constantly picking up these cues. My baby was 10 years old. She was being coerced and manipulated and didn't even know it. I'm going to tell you exactly how. Nonverbal cues are a groomer's playground because it's a way to manipulate their victim into truly believing that it was the victim's choice of what happened. And when we think about grooming, most people go right to like sexual stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. First of all, anyone can be groomed of any age. That's how cults happen. That's how people join cults. That's how they get brainwashed into joining cults. Smart people, adults. My baby was 10 years old, 10-year-old neurology. Her brain isn't even hardly started. We're not even a third of the way. Okay, about a little bit more than that. Anyways, from her full development, 10-year-old, beautiful little girl, been with her mama every day. And then this annulment happens. Okay. And she sees what they do to me. She sees it. She's not stupid. She's 10. She saw how they ostracized me, our family, our own family, her family. And she's not dumb. You don't think that even her 10-year-old brain didn't understand fully that if they could do that to me, if Jennifer specifically could do that to me, their own daughter and Chris, that they wouldn't do it to her, throw her away too. Actions are nonverbal communication. And she saw it. She saw what they did to me. She's not stupid. She's very strong, very tough. Stronger than I was at that age. I'm so proud of her. That little girl, she's a young lady. Anyways, with nonverbal cues, they are instinctive and most of the time almost immediate, which causes the victim to pick up on them and respond accordingly, whether they realize they're doing it or not. And this goes for all communication all the time anyways. I am specifically speaking of the more manipulative nature of grooming. Groomers use this intentionally. So as humans, we are always unintentionally, non-verbally communicating with each other, whether we realize it or not. Abusers and groomers use it intentionally. to get inside the head. The last conversation I had with my baby, I was staying at it was before the RV. It was before I got in the RV. It was when I was still staying in the cabins at the campground. And I made a point of it to do the campgrounds that were right around Jennifer and Chris's neighborhood, so that I would be close to my children, because I obviously want to be close to my babies. I was staying at KOA. I had just got there and I called Mona. This was the last conversation. I remember it very vividly. I said, "Hey, baby." I was like, "Hey, I'm over at KOA across the street." I was like, "If you want," because also the KOA, I don't know if all KOAs are like this, but the KOA here has like a cool jumpy thing, and like there's stuff to do for kids. There's like a little water park in the back. Also, it's right by where we used to live in military housing. I was like, you should have Nana drive you over here and we can go walk on the campground and go, play on the stuff and whatever. And she said, "Okay, mommy, I love you." I said, "I love you too, baby. I miss you. I'll see you soon, okay?" She said, "Okay, mama. Bye." That was it. And then I didn't hear my baby's voice for another over 2 years. That was the last conversation I had with my child before she was ripped away from me. Jennifer will tell you that day that she got off the phone with me, that Mona was upset and crying. Well, I wasn't there. I heard her. She did not sound like she was crying to me, but if she was, maybe it was because her mom was living in a campground and the rest of her family was just letting it happen. That was when Jennifer said, "Nope, you're not going to talk to your own child anymore." Now, two of the specific instances in which the one I know of specifically, I saw a picture. We'll talk about that. And the second one I'm going to talk about, I saw, like I said, I'm only going to do two. I'll try to keep it at least kind of short. When Jennifer and Chris did this, Emily told me this first, and then she showed me the picture because Emily was allowed to see my baby, but apparently I wasn't. Emily's a felon, convicted felon. Okay. Anyways, Jennifer, so she had already had a room put together at her house for Mona, and she hung a picture of me. Seems really sweet, right? There's all this turmoil for whatever reason. She has told Mona that she can't see me now. I don't know the exact reason she told Mona, but she told her something. So what a nice gesture for my mother to put a picture of Mona's mother in her room so that she could see me every day. And that's what she told all of her friends. And that's what she told, Jennifer, that's what she told everyone. "Look, I have a picture of Jamie in Mona's room so that Mona can see her every day." But here's the thing. That was not a picture of Mona's mother. It was a picture of me when I was 15 years old. You put a picture of another child in my daughter's room. That was Jennifer's nonverbal, just one of the countless nonverbal ways to get to manipulate my own daughter into not seeing me as her parent. Why would you do that to her? That was you put a picture of another child in my baby's room. That picture wasn't anyone's mother. That's one. Let's talk about the second one. While Josh was out to sea, because like I've said many times before, Josh didn't come to any of those hearings. He came to the very last one. And I walked up to him. I said, "Do you know what's going on?" He said, "I don't know what's going on." That was the only conversation I had with him before that last court thing, when I was heavily coerced under extreme psychological duress by Leilani Adams to sign over my children. Absolutely needlessly, but I believed her like an idiot. That frustrates me with myself that I believed her. That frustrates me with myself. I should have been smarter, I think. But so Lisa, Josh's mother, was there. Jennifer, my mother, was there. And during, I don't know, maybe it was the first or second one after they had filed all those BS restraining orders and police reports and everything. After that, it was like the first or second one after that. I walk into, now keep in mind, it's been probably at this point, it's probably been 2 months since the phone call that I was referencing at the beginning of this video. I had not heard from my baby. I wasn't allowed to call. I showed up to ask to use the bathroom. Chris called the police on me. You don't you're not gonna let your homeless daughter use the bathroom. Psycho. Anyways, but and I was just walking away too. I didn't even do anything. I asked to use the bathroom. He said no. I was in my truck about to leave as like it wasn't. These people are crazy. So I walk in. So you walk in and then you have the waiting room, right? And then the courthouse, the courtrooms are over here. And over here is the waiting room. I walk in. Only 2 months since I had that little conversation with Mona. I had no idea it was going to be the last time I was going to get talked to. I had no idea. Why would I ever think that? Mona's sitting there. Jennifer's on one side of her. Lisa's on the other side of her. Got her sandwiched in, touching her legs with their legs, okay? As soon as I walk in, I didn't even say anything. All I did was walk in the waiting area. Lisa grabs my baby's hand and starts petting it. It's okay. It's going to be okay. As if Mona was supposed to be afraid at that moment. My baby's never been afraid of me once a day in her life, but they wanted her to be. That's nonverbal communication, and it's grooming. And now what? She's supposed to carry a lifetime of guilt forever because of what you did, and you're adult nasty, and she was just a little girl? I don't think so. It's another reason why these channels are important. You guys, when children suffer these kinds of traumas, this young, it almost always goes on to manifest later in adulthood as mental illness, instability, neuroticism, relationship problems, abusive and abusee behavior, self-victimization. I'm not going to let that happen to my children. You have done this to her. As her mother, I'm not as brave as Mona, and I'm not as strong as Mona. I'm not as tough as Mona. I will stand up and say, no, you will not take the rest of her life. You will not steal her psyche or her soul. Not my babies. No, you will not. And I'll keep speaking about it. I'm going to keep speaking about it for that purpose. Thinking of anyone asking my children, especially Mona, to explain away and take responsibility for the crimes committed against them as children makes me sick. We don't do that. We don't do that to kids. You adults can take responsibility for your own adult actions. Those were children. Thank goodness we're tough. Using that kind of manipulation, those kind of nonverbal tactics that groomers use intentionally, is cowardice, but effective. It takes the blame off of the person doing it. it puts the blame onto the victim. And that's exactly what a perpetrator wants. Not on my watch. I don't think so. Everyone go visit the website, courthousekidnapping.com. We cannot stand for this. Nope, not our children. I don't think so. You're not going to mess with our children. You can mess with us. You're not going to mess with our children. I hope that everyone has a beautiful day. I am going to end this. It's so frustrating. I don't like these. I don't like these videos. But when you're a parent and you love your babies, sometimes you got to do some things you don't like to do, that you don't want to do to protect your children. That's what being a parent is. They don't know. Thank you guys so much. Go visit the website. Go buy some merch. There's 2 different merch shops. One for the coaching merch, but I also have one for this, for Courthouse Kidnapping. It also has a merch shop. And I'll link it below. And I'm always trying to add more stuff to more designs to both of those as well. Follow me on Facebook. Follow Courthouse Kidnapping on Insta, YouTube, and now, as of yesterday, TikTok. We're so excited. I'm excited. Okay. Thank you guys so much. And as always, my gratitude for you is just boundless. Hope everyone has a really good night. We got to stay grateful, guys. We're going to.